Hi everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K Laidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
Hey everyone, it's Wendy K Laidlaw here, and as always, I do hope that this message finds you well. Now, as you know, if you've been listening to my podcast for some period of time or watching my YouTube channel, I love it when some of my students decide to be brave enough and share their journey. Now, we've worked with over 100 women now through the EndoBoss Academy, seen tremendous results, and these women tend to go on and on and on to achieve just the most amazing things. Regularly, we get updates from them about what they're accomplishing in their life that they never even thought was possible. And of course, with the tools and the strategies and the protocols that they've learned, they keep applying these for life, because obviously putting any condition into remission, especially endometriosis, it does require some lifestyle changes, but it's also an emotional journey. And what I mean by that is it's kind of an inside job to heal. So if you've been trying the diet and products and progestion and had multiple surgeries and things like that, and it's not working for you, then it's important to stop, pay attention, tune back in, journal, and see what it is that you need to help yourself get back onto an even keel, and more importantly, thrive and flourish. And this is what this program does, is designed to help women come back into themselves, to listen to their higher power, their God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it. We have got a nickname for it here called HUGS, higher power, universe, God, goddess, source. Those instincts, that intuition that are there instinctively as a human, connected to nature, that perhaps, well, the pressure and noise you've not been able to tune into. Perhaps there's been, there were issues when you were younger, or there was trials, tribulations, triggers, or traumas that have, set up patterns of thoughts and feelings and behavior that are deeply embedded in your subconscious that you've not been able to tap into. And what we pride ourselves on, or certainly what I pride myself on in creating this, was to ensure that it was a very pragmatic, stable, secure, structured journey to allow that safety and connection back into yourself. Because I knew that for myself, as you all know, endometriosis and adenomyosis are all in remission. I've never felt healthier or happier than I do now. And this is why I do what I do, to share with women that endometriosis is not a life sentence. It is showing up in your body, I believe, because you have a greater purpose up ahead, and that your body is trying to get your attention for a number of different things. And this is where learning how to read the signs and understand what's going on in your body allows you to get to the root causes of why your immune system is impaired. And yes, there's lots of chat out there about DNA and inheritance and what you've inherited down through the generations and all that kind of stuff. But DNA only gets activated when it's in certain environments. And what we're looking to do is to shift and change our understanding of our environments and what we grew up in, and the power and influence that we have over our body now, because we have tremendous influence over our body. What we tend to need to do is really look down deep into the emotional component, which is very challenging. And for me, and if those of you who've been following me for a while know, I'm very open and honest about what a struggle that was for me to really address what had gone on in the past. Was very British and very philosophical and stiff upper lip, and I just need to get over it, and it probably wasn't very much, and blah, blah, blah. And I hear some stories, online nowadays, listening to various podcasts, and I think, wow, they only had this, that, and the next thing, and I had this, this, and this. So now that you start to kind of have a wider understanding of the impact that various things, perhaps in your childhood or even as an adult, can impact upon you, and then how that affects you physiologically, really is empowering. So today I'm going to be giving you or rather, you're going to be hearing from Angharad from the UK. She's a beautiful 25-year-old woman who reached out to me last year and started off in the 21-day challenge. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, why not? Please go and check that out, because it's amazing and it's got so much content and it's so transformative, just that on its own. And then she went into the Embracing Emotions program and then got offered a place in the academy. And she's been an amazing, diligent student right from the very beginning. And I thought, again, as always, what I'd kind of read out is her initial opening questionnaire, which kind of captures what was happening for her in her body, and then share kind of her closing questionnaire just 6 months later. Now, the Academy now is extended to a 12-month program, because I believe it kind of helps from an emotional perspective to provide a framework of understanding of sometimes how long it takes just to really understand what's going on deeply, because we need to approach these things very gently, very slowly, and very lovingly, and create the right environment to allow exploration to be done in a way that is kind and comforting and soothing, and also allow for integration. Because when you're learning about yourself in new ways, I think there's always a fear, especially for a lot of the women with endometriosis that we work with. There's a fear that there's this just big, bad, ugly thing down deep inside of you. And there isn't. You know, the very fact that you're listening to me, you're reading my books, on my programs, speaks a lot about who you are as a woman, because you're progressive, you're trying to take back power and control, you're moving forward rather than just staying stuck and just accepting, in inverted commas, this condition. What you're doing is you're trying to expand your awareness and your level of understanding and information about it. Because, as I say, and I say this all the time, but if I can come back from where I was, each and every one of you can. And I believe it took me so long to understand the emotional side. I fought it, I resisted it. I had so many fears and worries and connotations about it. But actually, once you learn more about it and about yourself, it just blows your mind. So I'm going to start off by sharing some of Angharad's initial symptoms and things that were showing up for her at the very beginning. As I say, as you probably learned from a lot of the stories of these beautiful women that come on and are just so generous in sharing their journey, because it's very frightening and scary for a lot of people to come and share themselves. So I really do hope you appreciate the courage it takes for them to say, yes, Wendy, I'm going to come on and speak to you, and please share my information. But I know that she's doing it, and I know that I do it so that it inspires you. If you're sat at home listening to this and you just feel like you've hit a wall, and you're fighting to be believed by the medical profession, people around about you don't get you and understand what you're going through, these messages are designed to let you know that there is another way, and never ever give up. So Angharad is a property manager, and she was suffering from symptoms, bleeding 6 to 9 days, breast pain, lower back pain, kidney pain, bladder pressure, frequent urination, pain with bowel movements, constipation, poor sleep, bloating, and many, many more. She said she would sometimes bleed for a good 7 days. And that would tend to be the norm, but her daily pain was anywhere between 5 and 7, a score of 5 to 7 in her lower abdominal area. She also had low blood pressure and yeast infections. What else? She'd had a surgery, but it didn't obviously help, and her being so young, it was a shame that she had to go down the surgical route. But she did have a lot of stress going on around about her from a number of different factors, a number of different areas. Again, to her credit, she was trying to do the best she could, given the circumstances, and trying to take supplements and things as well. Her dream was to, obviously put this condition into remission, which is ongoing, but to start to have a sense of identity about herself, and recognize the power that she had, and get some direction and confidence in her life. Now, it really was, I was lucky enough to, because I'm not as involved now as I used to be, but my team are amazing, but I was lucky enough to meet Angharad because she won a prize on the 21-day challenge. And I remember her like it was yesterday, our first call. a shadow of the beautiful Angharad that lies within her. So again, as I read out her closing questionnaire, I don't really know how to convey the transformation, and it gives me goosebumps and almost makes me emotional, to be honest, like the transformation that happens with the women that come through this program. And I think it makes me emotional because I remember how lost and alone and depressed and overwhelmed and contemplation of ending my life so many times because I had no way out. And I think that's why it's so meaningful to but as I say, it's I'm in the process of pulling together our success stories book, and it's really challenging how to present it in a way that makes it a readable and inspiring, because it doesn't really allow. I need to look at how I can get this presented in a way that explains the journey, because whilst I'm reading how she was at the very beginning, she had no quality of life. And if you're listening to this and you're in that situation, I get it. I so get it. And then the journey, the transformation, I kind of call it, I refer to it as the caterpillar into the butterfly. We all know that sort of story in that analogy. But I think what isn't really discussed much is the cocoon transformation, what I call the cocoon of chaos, where you go into this cocoon to make this transformation and you're scared, you're frightened. And I love that there's a little analogy that says the caterpillar thought it was the end of the world and he was going to die, and then he flied, so it's like, why has endometriosis shown up for you? What is it trying to get your attention on? What is it that feels so fearful you daren't go there, so subconsciously that it is trying to get your attention? So as I say, what perhaps I don't convey eloquently enough, and I hope to do that more in the coming books, is the beautiful journey. And it is a beautiful journey. It's choppy, it's bumpy. There's good days, bad days, down days, flare days, want to give up days. But what every single one of the women that come through these programs have is just this formidable strength and character that I have so much admiration for. So I hope you find this inspiring. As I say, let me just find this. I've just gone and lost it. Here we are here. So this is just a snapshot. Angharad has gone on to work with us a little bit longer on a couple of different things. But as I say, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that we have to work on the emotional component, which is why I've created the Unblock Your Emotional Blocks 21-day challenge. It's designed to help very gently, very lovingly uncover what might be blocked emotionally. Which then, once you unblock those emotional blocks, then the physical healing begins. So the physical healing tends to be a bit of a lag behind the emotional growth and transformation. But again, even just looking at Angharad's form here, what improvements have you noticed in your body since starting the program? Thicker hair, thicker nails, her skin, energy, sleeps better bowel movements, a decrease in pain. Her skin has improved. So it's marked out of 1 being low or no, and 10 being high improvement. Her skin is a 7, her nails are an 8, hair an 8, digestion of food 9, stomach acid improvement 9, bowel improvement 8, candida has improved 9, sleep 7, energy levels up to an 8, and our outlook on life a number 10, which is just awesome. So she's been asked, what other bodily improvements have you noticed? I'm having frequent bowel movements now. Before this program, I was not able to go often at all. And when I did go, it was painful. I don't experience that now. What do you notice as improvements in your periods? They're a lot less painful in comparison to what I used to have. I was exhausted when I was on my period, and I no longer suffer from this tiredness. Her pain scores at the very beginning were a pain score of 8, and now they're mild. In fact, she'd said on a recent discussion, I have to check in, am I in pain? And I said, well, if you have to ask if you're in pain, you're not in pain. But isn't that wonderful that you're actually having to ask that question now, not that pain is grabbing you and trying to get your attention. And obviously, this is the thing with periods, they are very much like a barometer, a thermometer of the weather system of what's happening in, on, and around your body. So what other emotional improvements have you noticed since the start? I feel like it's enabled me to come out of my shell. The journaling has given me an understanding on how I'm feeling and newfound confidence and appreciation for myself, and not to try and beat myself up emotionally when the smallest thing goes awry. I like the biggest benefit of this course has given me is hope. I now feel like I have a future, and I'm feeling happy it will work out because it is looking and feeling a lot more positive. What difference have you noticed in your relationships with yourself since starting the program? I'm using my voice and want to be heard in certain situations where I would never have been able to before. I feel more sympathetic to myself. I talk to myself in more positive ways. And I realize now how often I would berate myself in the past. I realize my self-worth, and I have a voice, especially with other people who I wouldn't have done before. And also I realize because now I cannot change toxic people, and they will not change, which was amazing. Because again, you know, it's a big thing for the type of women that we are. We're very empathetic, very compassionate, very considerate of others. I think when we recognize that we're powerless over other people, places, and things, and they are not our responsibility, unless, of course, your mom and your children are your responsibility. But even as adult kids or parents or partners or anyone else, we're not responsible for their happiness. It's up to them to make themselves happy. We are only powerful over ourselves. And that's a big thing. That took a long time for me to understand. It doesn't mean that we don't care about people. It means that they have their responsibility to take care of themselves. Obviously, we're there to support them in ways. So don't take me too literally, but metaphorically and emotionally, we are not responsible for other people's happiness. And that takes a big load off a lot of women when they realize that. She feels a lot more positive about the future now. This course has given me the clarity and realization that I'm not less of a person in comparison to other people, and how much control I actually have over my life and the condition. She loved the weekly calls and the group calls. She says there's so much information that's been given and absorbed. She loved being coached by Maxine. It was really enjoyable, easy to talk to, and you felt like you could talk to her about anything that you were facing. Top 3 things she'll take away is that she's free to be me, aka herself. Each of the 5 Ps, i.e. the produce, products, property, people, and past, are as important as each other. And the 3 daily basics are for life. And she said, what would you say to any woman considering applying for the EndoBoss program? Do it. Wendy gets results. It's not luck. And she said, it's incredible. I feel like I've got far more than I was expecting. So I hope that you find that inspiring. That was her words. She's gone on to work with us even further. And again, her growth is just amazing. There are still some areas in her body that still need a time and attention, but you can hear even just those small progresses. These small ones are large ones because they start to build momentum. And it's kind of like I talk about the analogy of seeds. We're doing a lot of seed planting when we come through this program. We're really learning how to parent ourselves, learning what's true good self-care means, how to put in boundaries with other people, how to listen to our emotions, how to eat, how to incorporate healthy eating habits, all those things that none of us were really taught, but we just sort of kind of picked up or were influenced by on the way. So here is Angharad in her own words, sharing her journey. I do hope that you enjoy and that you find it inspiring. And if you do, please do let us know at support@healendometriosisnaturally.zohodesk.com so we can pass on your comments to her, because as I say, I'm super proud of her and I appreciate her coming on and sharing her journey. For a lot of the women that come through, they don't have, the courage or the confidence, they're shy, they don't want to do that. And I absolutely respect that. So it means even more for those that do come on. So thank you for listening. I do hope you find this inspiring. And if you are ready to take action, with all the ladies that have come through, they start with a 21-day challenge. It's a pinky toenail in the water to get a sense of what it's like to be around a community of women that are not only like progressive and positive, but are fully focused on taking care of you, helping you to take care of yourself, hearing you, supporting you, and helping you on this heroine's journey to becoming an EndoBoss. So enjoy this and hope to speak to you soon. Bye. Hey, Angharad.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
So lovely to see you.
Yeah, I know, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has, and you look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
bit nervous at the podcast, I think, but yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, well, look, this is just, remember, this is just you sharing your amazing journey so far. So look at this as kind of like, an inspirational chat that you're going to have a massive impact on people when it does go. And what a wonderful story to share.
Yeah, no, it's quite exciting in that sense, but it's kind of like daunting as well.
Of course,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, all I can advise you on is just be your beautiful self.
Thank you. Yeah.
How have you been? Because you look fantastic.
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing the course has given me is like hope. And like obviously everything else has been a bonus, but it's like I feel like I've got a future now. Whereas like last year and before I found the book and everything, I didn't have anything to look forward to. It was all like, it's quite like a sad existence in that sense. But now it's just like you can like look forward to things, and like you can like start thinking about what you want to do and things like that. Whereas I was never thinking about like that. I was more thinking about like I didn't think I was ever gonna have like that kind of future that I wanted. So it's kind of now like thinking, what do I want to do, and like thinking like bigger plans, and it's kind of, that's quite exciting. Like I didn't think I would have that kind of wake up call.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, let's start at the beginning, because I pulled up your opening questionnaire. I don't know if you had a chance to look through your own questionnaire, and because I think this is why I do this in the way that I do, because it's so funny when you're on the journey, you forget how ill you were, or all the different things, all the different symptoms and all the different things that were going on. So can you remember what it was like when you first reached out to me, or where you were at?
I knew, it's quite funny looking back in the sense, because I knew before I was formally told that I had endometriosis that I knew I had it, because my mum and I had like researched, and I was kind of hoping that it was endometriosis, because if it wasn't, then I was like, well, what is it? Like it could be
it?
Yeah. So it was quite a struggle, because like they kept saying like oh, it's in your head, it's all this, it's nothing. And I was like, it is something. I'm in more pain. I haven't been in this pain before. I've always had horrible periods, but I've never had it like this. So I'm in lots of pain now. And they were like, oh no, it's nothing. And then it was just a constant like battle. But then like when I had the operation, I felt like, yeah, I finally knew what it was. But then they were like saying that for treatment or for the aftercare, just to take paracetamol, which obviously doesn't do anything. It doesn't touch the spot at all. So as soon as I had the operation, I knew that I wasn't going to do any more medical thing at all.
Yeah.
So I was quite adamant on it. So I've had like acupuncture, I've had homeopathy, I've done other things, and then I found your book, and it was just like, oh, thank you.
I mean, I think it's incredible, because I think if I recall, going back to like how long you were in pain, but you had been suffering for quite a few years beforehand.
Yeah. I kind of didn't realize that it wasn't normal, in the sense that, because my periods had always been quite heavy.
Yeah.
When I got to maybe like 19 or something like, or around that age, it kind of just got really bad, and I had to go to hospital like a few times at one Christmas, and they were just saying like, oh, it's like a bladder infection, or it's this, that, and then I got like all these different things, and it was all like, oh, we can't find anything on a scan, or you can't have anything, it's all in your head. And I was thinking, I'm like screaming in pain on the kitchen floor, like there's something here, and it's not all in my head, I can't be doing this. Yeah. So it was just like this kind of, I felt like it was kind of a battle, like you kind of have to kind of fight and like, I suppose I kept saying that like that this course has created resilience in me, but I think it's kind of made me more aware of how resilient I can be as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been like, it's kind of, it's been amazing actually, like the whole thing. Like I'm so thankful for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we're going to get more into you in a second, but thank you. I so much appreciate you saying that, because I remember when because you went through the 21-day challenge, and I remember our first conversation. I'm going to come back to that, but I want to go back to what you were saying there. You were on the kitchen floor in pain. And I think, there are going to be women listening to this who are going through what you went through and feeling like, so maybe you can share like all the other symptoms as you remember them. I know it's tough because when you move past it, you kind of go, really? Is that possible to move past? But you were on the kitchen floor writhing around in pain.
Yeah, I know. It seems kind of strange. I don't know whether, I think for some part I could like mentally block it out.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had to. So I don't know whether it was because I felt like I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust the doctors because they kept not listening to me. I mean, most people won't have that experience, and don't be afraid to get it. But I think like I could push it out quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it kind of, when I started the program, and then I kind of had to be more in touch with like my emotions and things like that. It kind of worried me for a few weeks, because I was more in tune with the pain, whereas I hadn't been for so long, because I've got so good at like just kind of almost turning it off.
Yeah.
And I could really like go about my day. Like mine wasn't as severe as a lot of people because I was quite young. I'd like to point out, but because I could just sometimes, like on the kitchen floor, it was that got really, it got really bad. And then I was looking, I don't know how, I was given codeine for a time, but nothing worked, so I stopped taking that very quickly. I only took it for weeks maybe, and not even that, because I didn't feel like it made any like difference to my pain at all, so I stopped taking it. But I don't know, I kind of when it was really bad, I tried to like have like heat or stuff like that, but it feels so far from my recollection.
But isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Did you ever think then that you'd be here now? Because sometimes, I mean, even just hearing you say, I had to switch off from everything, and it wasn't till, I mean, that's how we in the past had to cope. We didn't know how else to cope but to switch off from our body. Yes,
exactly. It is quite strange in that sense, because I don't think, because it wasn't a shock to me when I found out I had it from the operation, because it was kind of, at first it was a relief, because I was like, I just wanted to know, because like I said, if it wasn't that, what was it? Exactly. But I think then it was like, what do I do with this? Like, how do we treat this? Because once you have it, once you find out you have it for definite, then it's kind of another difficult process, because the doctors don't have a lot of information. So then you're kind of like scrabbling around trying to find things.
And that's right. And they are trained to deal with the symptoms, not to get to the root cause.
Yes.
And then all they're presenting you with is painkillers, drugs, and surgery. So I think it's really admirable that at that age and stage, just almost a year ago, you were like, I need to do something different.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I think it helped that I had a difficult time with like the medical field. So I think maybe I could have waited, maybe it got on longer until I found like you, or I did my other alternatives before I found you, because I knew that that didn't work for me. So I was just trying to find like different routes, and I think because I found it quite stressful as well. Because I didn't feel like I was being listened to, or I didn't feel like I was really seen as like almost like an adult. Like I was kind of being like a hypochondriac or something.
Oh, I remember that well. I remember that feeling well. And it's so distressing, isn't it? Because being in pain, going into accident emergency and writhing around in pain on the kitchen floor is not an aspiration. It is not something when you're little that you think, I know when I'm older, I want that. And I think that's it, especially, but what is fantastic is because you were younger, that you had something in you that drove you to seek me out, because you recognize that what was being presented to you was just symptom management at best, but you wanted to get your life, you wanted to get a life, let alone get your life back, because the fact you've been in pain for so many years is just unnecessary.
Yeah, I think so. And I think because you're kind of comparing yourself to other people, whether it's right or wrong, but you kind of want to be like them. You don't want to be in like the pain and it's, I think it's what's nice about this course is that you don't feel alone, like, because there's other people that you finally have like connection with, like you can talk to people that are in the same situation or know what you've been through.
Yeah, that
you don't have to hide it. I think endometriosis caused tiredness for two reasons: the pain and then hiding the pain.
Yeah,
because like I think like when I was at like work or whatever, you kind of have to like put on this face where you have to like, oh yeah, everything's really good, and then like when you get home you'll have to like really like debrief, because it can be so tiring, like having that chronic pain and then just doing your whole day. It's just hard. It can be.
And I think it's a really valid point that you raise, not only the pain, but then trying to hide the pain, and then fighting people who are kind of saying to you, it's all in your head.
I know.
Holy moly, that is a lot to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is definitely, and especially like there are a lot of people with endometriosis, so it's not like an uncommon thing.
Yeah.
So it's quite frustrating when people when you hear that people have had that experience. Yeah, I know it's not just me.
Yeah, I know, but I think what's fantastic is that although you've been in so much pain and you were trying to manage it early on, you really had an expansion of awareness to seek out with the medical field. I think something in you that, as you said, that determination, which I love, was right. Okay, there has to be another way. Yeah,
I think so, and I think like you said, like you hear about like how like people have cured like other conditions, and you're like, oh, this could work for like. Because at that point, I didn't really know much about endometriosis. Like I just knew what it was scientific, like what it was. You didn't really know like where it's come from or why it's come to you.
Yeah.
And neither did anyone else by the sounds of it. So like you're just kind of like treading water.
Yeah, and I think you've had it for years, or you're an insurmountable amount of pain. You don't have the capacity to to try and figure it all out. Unless your back's against the wall and they're talking about ripping everything out, taking everything out, and you're like, holy moly, no, I need to keep all my organs. Thanks very much.
Oh, gosh,
where you're really kind of driven to think, well, what's the root cause? There has to be. Why has this originated in my body? There's a great, like my mom, she had endometriosis, but 3 of her sisters didn't. So why did my mom and the other, what was the difference there? And I think that's what, if you've got that curious mindset to be able to kind of go, but why, which is obviously what you had.
Yeah, I think so, because when I woke up from the operation, they just said I had it, and there was no like aftercare. There was no like, oh, we think you should go back to the doctor, or like we're seeing gynaecologist in however long. There was nothing. Like I had, like there wouldn't have been further operations, so I had no like I wasn't seeing anyone. Yeah. So I was just like, I felt like I was on my own. Yeah. As soon as I woke up, it was quite a strange experience. So I felt like I had. It kind of it was, in one sense it was good though, because it kind of pushed me to find other things, because which I'm kind of glad I did now, because
this is where you are.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can even just imagine you waking up after that operation feeling scared because you're in a hospital and you've had this pain and you've had surgery, and then someone's coming like, right, you got endometriosis, right, off you trot, and you're kind of like, but what happened? What does that mean? What? And that was like myself after the 5th surgery. They're like, oh yeah, you've got 8 chocolate cysts, and and one of the contents is emptied into your abdomen, like off you go. And I'm like, sorry, like I'm still in pain. I need to get back on with my life. So I think it's awesome that, so what was it? What did you type into Google? What was it that was your next step? What you came out of hospital and then what?
I came out of hospital and then I just assumed that it would like heal itself or get a bit better. But after 4 weeks, I was still in a lot of pain and the pain hadn't decreased at all. So I was thinking, this isn't what I was expecting. And it was quite, I know that like they're like it's a keyhole surgery, so it's not they're not cutting you massively, but like I knew it was going to take a while to for everything to heal and everything like that. So I was giving it a few weeks, and then after like it just went on, and I was not feeling any better. So I did get a contraception and stuff for endometriosis, but it was like my skin and everything else that was exasperating. But because they were saying that like the periods they would need to be like controlled. So I was like, okay, well that sounds good to me, because they're all horrible, like awful. So I think they did put me on a pill, but before I had the operation, I went through like every pill because they said that I needed to try the combined ones. I think the combined, and it didn't make any difference, obviously. But then after the operation, I was still suffering from quite heavy periods, I think, and then they put me on a pill again. So it was just a lot of like, you just didn't really know where you were, like you didn't know like where you were with yourself, because no one really knew enough about it. So it kind of, so not long after that I went and sought out a acupuncturist. It didn't help for the actual endometriosis, but I don't regret having it, because I think all the different alternative things I've done, it has helped other things. So like I think it helped me relax and things like that. But I understood, I just think like all the things have helped me find like your course. So
no, and just hearing you talk there about all the different pills that you were put on, because you were put on and the coil, you had both.
I know, I had both in the ends.
You remember my like a year when I heard that, I'm like, what? Why do both? You know? I know when the first time that I heard that you were on both, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's happening to your body? And you were still in pain and you were still suffering. And like you say, I think there is absolutely a place for acupuncture and all these different things. I think they have their place, but endometriosis by its nature is quite complex, isn't it? So there's a number of different elements that we need to look at. And did that surprise you when you learned about like the 5 Ps and the 5 poisons?
It didn't surprise me about the like emotional side, because I had known about how like cancer and other like illness can be affected by like not being open about your emotions or like holding things in, but it kind of surprised me how much affects this condition, which is quite helpful in the sense that you can be aware of it now, so you can be aware of like what you're putting on your body or putting like is in your environment and stuff like that, and what you're eating. So I think awareness is like the biggest that helps this condition, I think. And
I think you're right. I think the emotional side, you know, I certainly struggled. I'll talk from my perspective. I struggled about how the emotional side affected the physical, because a lot of it was subconscious. It's not like a conscious thing. And then of course you've got all these other elements that can add to an already inflamed body. And I think watching you on your journey, I mean, even as I say, we'll pop back to the 21-day challenge, but I remember, you know, you successfully completed the challenge and we had a quick chat at the end, you know, because you did so well in it. And I think, you know, when you started to journal, that really helped your awareness, didn't it? I saw you at the end of the 21-day challenge, and I saw you at the end of Embracing Emotions, and I could really feel like your connection to your body. Whereas you were saying right at the very beginning, you had to switch off from your body. You were really connecting with it in a new, healthy way.
I don't think I don't think when I started how like important journaling was going to become.
Yeah.
And obviously now I can't really like imagine, but it just feels like I've been doing it for a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a like a part of my routine now.
That
and
makes me so happy to hear.
And like even like if I feel like even if you don't really have a lot to say,
yeah,
I end up like saying things about like the news or something like I think is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So like there's always like something that's going on. But it's just, I don't know, I think they're like, you might think, oh yeah, I'm just like aware of it, or I'm just like talking to myself about it or something. But when you write it on paper, it's just like a good way of like not only like being like fully aware of what's coming up for you, but just getting it out if you need to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think for yourself on your journey though, it was really hearing yourself and developing this voice for yourself. You clearly had all the foundations of it, because you had that determination that sought me out in the first place. I think it was, so that was already there. It was how for that to come up and out. I think we talked about wanting to hide, wanting to shine, you know, you're wanting to, how do you present yourself in your voice in a way that is assertive rather than aggressive, you know, and that's where journaling is so beautiful, because it allows you to rant, rave, you know, complain, groan, talk about the news, talk about the weather, but just hear yourself. And I think until we can truly hear ourselves, then how can we truly express ourselves? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it takes time. I feel like I still have to like obviously work to do on that. But it's just, I just feel like I've come so far with it. Like compared to when I'm just thinking like when I first started it feels like it's a long way away to that person I was whenever I met you. I think it was like October or something. It's just, it was like, I remember like being like really worried about like everything, not just about the condition. And just now it just feels a bit like lighter. Like I feel like my shoulders are not so heavy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you like it was yesterday. I remember, you were hunched over and you were heavy in energy, and now look at you, it's light, bright, beautiful openness that you have, because you've connected to yourself. You've been able to I think left brain analyze with all the information education that you got on the programs, and then also to feel and connect and understand, you know, right brain as well. So there's this whole kind of multi-model of learning that really nurtures you emotionally and physically and spiritually, and seeing you step into you and come alive, you know, has been fantastic. Like week on week on week. Do you remember when we were doing the group calls and there was like, right, you had to share your top negative beliefs 1 week, or your unpleasant beliefs, and then 3 weeks later they didn't exist anymore. 3 weeks later.
That was absolutely amazing. I actually couldn't believe it myself. Because like even now, like I think it's quite hard to like train your brain, because we're all quite critical of ourselves, and I was really critical of myself all the time. And now I'm like trying, like when I think something or I say something really negative about myself, I try and like be aware of it, and I'm like that I would never have had that like awareness or even realize that that was a wrong thing to do. So it's just like I just feel like it's just been amazing, because like when we're going through the negative thoughts, we all said like completely different things by 3 weeks, like how positive they had become, and just our outlook in life had like changed in such a short space of time.
So what do you think? What caused that change in those 3 weeks, even just with some really cruel, unpleasant beliefs you had about yourself, and you were able to turn that around very gently, very beautifully? What do you think caused that shift?
I think like the mentoring process has helped, because you can like with you and Maxine, because you can like we were able to talk about like the issues we faced, and like the worries we had, and like just anything. And then it was just like having like a coach come back to you and like give you like the support you needed. And like obviously the journaling has helped just the whole course is just, it's kind of given us the confidence now, or giving me the confidence at least.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling like a lot more like happier.
Oh, well, that's so lovely to hear. And even hearing you say like turning the belief around and it's changed your outlook on life, not only outlook of yourself, but outlook on life. That's pretty profound, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just been like, honestly, I was kind of expecting it to be like being able to help my endometriosis. I wasn't expecting it to help like everything else.
Yeah.
So it's just, that part has just been like crazy.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think the reason I do what I do in the way that I do it, and that I do these podcasts, and again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, is, you know, because it is a complex condition, and the type of woman that we are, we're very perceptive, very intuitive, very connected, and very sensitive, and sensitive as a strength, not as a weakness, you know. So there's a lot of things that we can internalize as women that we may have internalized when we were little, you know, when we were born, when we were little, observing things and we had no language, and it goes into the subconscious and may show up as trials, tribulations, triggers, or traumas. So how, you know, and then therefore, if it's so, we're so good, because you said at the beginning, at shoving that pain down, emotional pain, spiritual pain, as well as physical pain, where does it go? In the body. How does it show up? In the body. So it is a kind of, it's a beautiful journey. That's why I call it a journey, because it's a journey of revelation, journey of transformation, of coming inside to yourself to get the answers as to what's showing up inside yourself.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's true. Because I think like you realize how many influences affect the condition, and there's just like so many things, and maybe things like from a long time, like quite a while ago, that could have affected the pain in your body.
Yeah.
Or like it's quite staggering actually. Like when you really look into it, like there's a lot going on with it.
There is, and I think what the course helps you all do is to navigate and manage and nurture the parts of you that want to shame you. Oh, I should have known this, or feel guilty. Oh, why didn't I know? And oh, I feel ashamed, or I feel guilty, because this is not a conscious choice to have this pain in your body. This is subconscious elements trying to get your attention about what's happening in your life, or the people around it, or your food, or your products. There's a number of different things normally that your body's trying to get. Your body's amazing, and it's a highly intelligent, you know, being, but it has no way of communicating except for through the body. And that's where I think in the West, in the Western world, that we really, it's not taught to us in schools. It's not taught to the medical profession or anywhere else. So when we learn this, it can feel a little bit like, should I not have known this? You know, could I have consciously stopped the pain? No, because the pain, it was deeper realms, deeper elements that needed to come up, and they had to come up safely, didn't they? You couldn't just like pop them up, because you needed to kind of, you know, have a safe place, you know, reflection, love, compassion, and then integration, because sometimes there's a reason why you've shoved everything down, because it might have been painful, and sometimes to revisit painful things can feel fearful. But if you create the right environment and the right support, that then allows you to feel comfortable and safe. And plus you're doing it with yourself through your journaling as well. And of course, you know, various stages have had to just encourage you all to keep journaling, because I'm like, I think I guess when you're journaling and when you're not journaling, because, and normally we tend to resist journaling when we're about to uncover something new about ourselves, or something is waiting to come up, because we parts of us are resistant to uncovering that, because we fear the pain, the emotional pain, and then you shove it down again. So this is where the journey is so beautiful, because it's allowing you very softly, very gently, very lovingly, just to bring it up as and when you're ready to process any pain from the past.
I think that's definitely true. I think there's like so many different elements that help, not just like if it like have like painful memories, it's just like anything, like even like your surroundings or something that could be like affecting it, and like the meditations and all that, it really just makes you feel so relaxed as well. Like everything just helps more than you realize.
Yeah, And I think with meditation, it allows you to come back into your body, it allows you to pause briefly and just come back into the body that you've been running away from your whole life. It allows you to come back in a slightly different way. So you're transmitting in the journal in the morning as you wake, and then you're doing some relaxation and meditation in the afternoon as a power nap, is to connect with yourself again. And that's where it's really, it almost feels too simple, doesn't it? On some level, some part of us going, is it really that simple? Well, obviously there's complexities, and what we're navigating around is our parts. How did you find the course when we were talking about our personality parts and our emotional parts and things like that?
I think I did find it at first a bit difficult to be able to differentiate all my parts.
Yeah.
But I think like now I'm kind of getting more to grips with it, and you can kind of like think, okay, that would be my like child part, or that's my pusher part coming out, or whatever. And like I think like everything, you don't put like too much pressure if you can't name it, or you're not sure, or like if you haven't really thought about them for a little bit, because it just comes up again. Like I'm just trying to be like aware of it when I can.
That's the secret, is awareness. You know, the secret to life is balance. The secret to balance is awareness, and the secret to awareness is journaling and meditation. You know, so that's why your beautiful body and mind and spirit and your vision and your future is feeling balanced, because through the awareness and through the journaling and meditation. And that's the secret, you know, is the awareness. Because if we can just observe our feelings and emotions, if we can just observe as much as we can, it's not always easy, but as much as we can, then that provides so much more expansion of, you know, knowledge, and again, back to awareness of what's happening in our body and in our emotions, you know, because we're emotional beings.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it takes a while to be fully like aware of like all your emotions. Especially like when you have the kaleidoscope of like hundreds of emotions that you didn't even realize that you could like you'd feel. But you kind of just like realize that they're all fine. You're not like, you don't need to be ashamed or like worried about like having this emotion, or like, because they're all fine, they just pass, and that's fine. It's just like,
and I think that's it. There's sometimes so much judgment that we have on particular emotion names that we put upon them. So like rage and anger and guilt and fury and all these unpleasant or negative emotions, and actually, but they're just messengers, aren't they? They're just trying to tell you something. And what we learn to do through our body feeling what emotions we're feeling in our body sometimes is, what is that emotion telling me? What is the message behind that? And that's where the power really comes. I noticed that with you a lot, like you were noticing certain emotions with different people, different situations that were happening in your, you know, that were happening in your life, and you were allowing them, you were noticing them and hearing the other parts and behind them of the emotion.
I think once you start, you become much more, it becomes a lot easier. So then you don't have to like really think about what's caused certain emotions or things like that. You become much more it becomes much more obvious. So then you can just kind of feel like happy that you why you're feeling a certain way, or how people make you feel and how people make your body feel. That's quite like an important thing.
And that's quite surprising, isn't it? Like when I talk about people in past being the most challenging of the P's, the poisons, because we've got produce and products and property, and then we've got people in past. It's the people in the past that you go, how come I feel really tense in my neck, you know, after being around that person? Or how come I feel like, you know, got tight jaw or a sore throat or a tight chest after being around it? And sometimes it can be guilt, almost like, oh, I don't want to feel that way around that person, that I don't want to acknowledge, you know, that I feel the way. But once you're able just to notice it, you don't have to do anything with it. You notice it, it gives you so much more power and information. And I remember you being surprised, as if like, is this okay to feel acknowledged that I have a certain feeling around certain people?
Because especially like people you've known for a long time, or you just spent a lot of time with, you're like, oh wow, my body's been telling me this for ages. I just haven't like ever like listened to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still some part of me is still surprised even now, but I'm so thankful to have this information now, of recognizing it. And, it's what we do with that information then thereafter. So what about the master classes and the webinars and stuff that you got each week? How did you find that information helpful?
It was a lot more information that I was ever like expecting. Like, it's just so much wealth of knowledge that you get from this course. It's not just like for this condition. You can like, it helps like so much. So it just helps like if you're feeling anxious, or if you don't like, it's just like so much knowledge about everything. And it's just so much. Your your websites are just so helpful. There's just so much research on them. And I can't believe you did this on by yourself.
Can you tell I was a woman passionate and driven to make sure that you all got this information, because like it's so important. This is why I get so excited. So thank you for saying that, because it's like a living organism itself. I'm constantly adding to it. We're constantly, making sure that it continues to be a resource of information, education, and support, because the more information you have, the more educational choices you can make, but the more you can soothe and appease and understand your body. I think to understand your body gives you immense power, especially as a woman, and then on top of that, to understand your emotions, how they interact in your body is even more powerful, even if it is confusing sometimes and a little bit annoying sometimes, like, oh, I don't want to have this feeling right now, I don't have time for this, but once you learn to it's that increase of awareness. Once you continue to just keep learning and educating yourself, that's the secret. I don't know about you now, but I have this kind of like, the more I learn, I realize the less I know, and I have to keep learning and learning and learning, because there's so much information out there. But what I tried to do in the membership sites was to give you what I thought was really important, and to drip feed it to you each week. I've been on courses where they just open everything up at the beginning and I just feel completely overwhelmed. But to drip feed it to you so that you can really just absorb the information and question it and be curious about it, and then be able to make the necessary changes. But it's been
it was so helpful, because you kind of don't feel that panic. Oh my gosh, I got to know all this. I've got to remember all this. So it's like, because it was so week on week, you could be like, oh, okay. That's okay. I can work with that. I've done that in my diet, or I've made changes on whatever area of my life I need to do. Let's start the next bit now. Which was very helpful actually, because you kind of don't have that panic. That I would definitely have had.
That's right. If I'd opened everything up, you would have got super excited the first couple of weeks, and then you would have tailed off and hit overwhelm, because and it's all the integrations of what you're having to change as well. It's a lifestyle change, and it's an increase of awareness, but also lifestyle, to recognize your value. You now really value yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I think, I do. And I think it kind of makes you realize like how much you didn't really before as well. Because I think I was always comparing myself to others, or didn't feel like I just felt like a bit of a like outside, I guess. I don't know, like you felt like quieter or something. And then like this course kind of makes you feel a bit more just makes you feel freer. It makes you feel like more aware of yourself, and like aware of like, just makes you feel more confident. That's the word. With like not just with the condition, or just about everything. So it gives you like just amazing.
I think that's it, because the condition by itself is very isolating, and you're in so much pain, and then you're being told by people you're looking up to saying, help me, and they're saying it's all in your head, you can't see anything, or this is it, off you trot. That it does something to the psyche. It does something to your sense of identity, which is kind of like, is there something wrong with me? I want to feel normal. I want to feel understood. Also give me a lifeline in which I can get myself well. And I think that's it. I'm I know you know this, but I've always hoped that the women, when by the time they come to the conclusion of these programs, they know the power they have over their own body. They know the power they have with the connection to the emotions in the body. They understand the impact on the produce and the products and the property and the people in the past. Like, you have that power now. You know, I can almost see you with a cape, you know, kind of like, you know, I know who you're like, you know who you are now.
Yeah, I think you definitely, like, I don't think I really ever knew before, like, truly. So it's kind of given me that. It's given me that now.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, once you have developed like that awareness, or like awareness of everything, like, you can't not have it once you've developed
no one's going to take that away from you.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's going to take it.
Yeah.
That was sitting there waiting, and sometimes it was just, you know, hidden under the condition, the disease. You know, there was lots of things going on, and because of your beautiful, sensitive body, and you didn't have the tools because you hadn't been taught about the tools in which to support yourself. And it really is fantastic to hear of your growth on so many different levels, you know.
Thank you.
You know, when you look back to the very, very beginning, did you ever imagine you'd be here right now?
I used to hope that, like, I'd be in your situation, but I don't know if I don't think I truly believed it at the beginning. Like, I remember our first like few calls, and they were like, I just feel now that that person is, like, it's just a different being. I remember it was very, like, I felt really, like, worried that it wouldn't work out, because I was quite, like, I think I was just quite worried that, like, that it wouldn't, like, and then I didn't know what my alternatives were.
Well, it's that fear, isn't it? I know everyone has, and when other women are listening to your podcast, they'll be like, oh, I was the same, I thought it wouldn't work for me. And I'm like, it's not a case of, like, you know, one size. It's fact is what makes it work is you're given the tools and how to learn to understand your body and your emotions in a new, healthy and empowering way. So like you just said a couple of minutes ago, like, this knowledge, no one can ever take it away from you. You know, this education, this information, this support, this nurture, these self-nurturing tools, it doesn't matter what life's going to throw at you now, you will be able to handle it no matter what. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt now.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of this should be taught in schools, or taught to everyone, really, because it's just so beneficial. It's not just like, a lot of the skills are not just for people with endometriosis. It's just like everyone should really know them. It's just amazing. It really changes your life.
Well, that I plan that, and thank you for saying that. And I've given myself a new name, which is an emotionologist. I love the idea of, you know, of exploring emotions more and helping people able to look and explore and become aware of their emotions more, because I think you're right, in schools, if children are taught this, then it's incredibly empowering, and perhaps save decades of suffering if they understood, you know, the connections and what the emotions are telling them. So thank you for saying that, because I feel that's my aim, is to hopefully, certainly for girls anyway, they need to understand their bodies, and of course boys as well, because I have a son, you know, and he understands so many different things. Now he uses the tool. Well, both my children, they do the journaling, the meditation, they understand. I feel like it's the keys to the gym of life. Like, if you have these tools now, yes, there's going to be, you know, curveballs and boomerangs that might going to hit sometimes in life. Who knows what's going to come across your path, but I know that you will be able to handle whatever comes your way and pull the strength from it, the lesson and the meaning from whatever happens. It'll be happening for you, because you'll be able to use these tools to truly support yourself emotionally and physically and spiritually, because that's the next step, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I definitely feel it's just given me, I think it's given me a lot more than I was expecting. Because the whole it's a whole person healing, isn't that? Which is just it's just amazing, because you never find that in anything else. Like, when you go to the doctor would just be like, oh, what, you've got pain, here's a painkiller, and never really think about why you have that pain, where is it coming from, what's cool and all that sort of stuff, and never thinking maybe there's emotional things to this.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not obviously not just this condition. There must be a lot of other ones that have, and then that taking painkillers and stuff is not going to be that beneficial.
No, I mean, even like you're talking
not
about
really addressing the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, I think. And again, the doctors are just a byproduct of their training. And I'd love to influence that training as well as educate, children in schools too with this information, because it's so powerful, and I think it's almost, I said with yourself, I could feel that it was really aligned with who you were as well, like the information education you were getting, because it's all about not being dictated to. It's about being encouraged to look inward and trust your instincts, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. The more and more you were being encouraged to do that, which was to come inward. Yeah. And there's always resistance at the beginning, isn't there? It's like, oh, no. Like, and then you go in and you go, oh, yeah, I can tune into my body. I can feel what's happening. I do have this power, and it really is surprising. But then you come over the bridge and you're just like, wow, I had no idea.
No, exactly. I think you don't realize how much you've kind of stopped them before. Like you didn't want to either process everything that you could emotionally, or you didn't want to have an awareness of like things that you didn't want, like people, environment or whatever. But it's kind of giving you that now. Yeah. It's giving you that ability to be able to be aware of everything, be happy with everything, like to be able to be happy or content with all your emotions. You might not be happy with every emotion you're going to have, but that's normal. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think even just hearing you talk there, is it like that sense of coming home, that sense of coming home to you, like acceptance, development of compassion for yourself. Of which... I
remember you saying that one of your previous women said that the end of the course was like coming home to her body. And I think that's like such a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah. Because I think it's so true. Because I think like a lot of the times for me, you kind of like running away from your body.
Yeah.
That's how I felt it was like anyway.
Yeah.
And now you kind of feel at ease with it a bit more. Yeah. Like you're not gonna be like maybe fully 100% out of pain yet. But it's coming. It's nearly there, and like it's coming, and you have hope now. Like whereas before, for me anyway, I didn't have that. I didn't feel like I had like that kind of, you couldn't look forward and plan anything because you didn't really know what the future held. Yeah. And now it's like completely like changed. I feel a lot more positive about everything, which is great.
Yeah, I remember when you said at one of the colleges, am I in pain? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first time that you'd had, and I was going, if you're having to question it, it means you're not in pain. But isn't that interesting? Because your body had got so used, your mind had got so used to living in pain. I remember the same, like when I first started to kind of, days, weeks, months started to go by, and I'm like, I dared to check in with my body. Am I? And like, no, I don't seem to be, but I don't want to tempt fate. You sort of sat in that kind of like ginger moment of like, oh, can I truly believe that my body's pain-free? And I think what's beautiful for you is continuing to trust yourself, continuing to recognize you have the tools now. I have given you the keys to the gym of life to recognize that connection that you have to yourself. And our job is just to keep allowing the space and the tools to come back in and check in with ourselves, because even just hearing you at the very beginning, much like myself, it was just like, how far can I push my mind away from my body? I thought this head was, it controlled the body, and I actually hated the body before. I wanted to chop my head off and stick it on someone else's body. But actually, do you regret having it, how it showed up, because what you've learned from having it?
No, I think like when I found out, or when I was in the process of finding out, it was quite scary, because I was like, what do I do now? Where's this come from? Blah blah blah. Even though like that quite a lot of women have it, so it can't be that unusual. But now it's kind of almost a blessing in disguise, because it's kind of, it teaches, from this course you learn like yourself. You basically find out who you are, and like you find out like how to like look after yourself like as a whole.
Yeah.
And not just like your condition. It's like your person, which is you would never learn that otherwise. So that's been like amazing blessing. And I think it also, like, from this course and just the condition in general, I think it makes us all like really resilient. I think like we become quite strong women, and like, and then you kind of have to like, it keeps you motivated to finish it and like stronger, I think. Because you have that, you kind of have that chronic pain for so long that you kind of makes you more resilient for change.
And that's so beautifully said. I mean, do you realize that some people go through their whole lives?
I know. You went for 33 years. That's
33 years.
A long time.
And that's it, you know. So to know that you're worthy to be pain-free as well. I feel like you know your worth now. So, you know, some people are like, oh, but maybe this is, I used to think, oh, it's just this, I did something terrible in a former life and I'm being punished for it now, and I'm going to have to stick with pain for all my life. But, you know, I actually was thinking the other day, it's like 10 years I've been pain-free now.
Oh,
you know?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. And the doctor said it couldn't be done. They said it was impossible. They said I had to have a hysterectomy. They said all these different things. So I just want to say, like, I'm super proud of you for having the determination, not only to question what you didn't feel was right that was happening to you with the medical field, because you weren't getting the support and the help, you weren't getting all that, you know, then, and it must have been a really scary time for you. And I can only feel for that part of you at that time. But equally, you took that strength that was already there. And that's why I love working with all you women. You're just amazing, because you have that inner strength. You have that kind of questioning of why. There has to be something else. And you didn't ignore that. That was what's pushed you through from the 21-day challenge. And can you remember what the 21-day challenge was like for you? What it gave you? How did it support you?
I remember that I had to do an assignment every day. I think it made me like, gives you like persistence. Like, you want to like do these assignments, you want to do your best. And because it's not like school or like university or something like that, it's like for your own health. So you're more like dedicated to try, like, obviously your hardest, because you want to like change your the way you're living. You want to change what's going on in your body. It's like it makes you more like, oh, come on, let's do it. So especially with all your testimonials and your success stories, it just makes you feel like you can be part of that too. So I remember feeling like when I started, I was like, well, I was kind of nervous, because I was like, what if this doesn't work, obviously. But then I was also quite excited, because I had heard about had looked into like the success stories and watched a few of the videos, and it was quite exciting.
And it's quite a nice way, isn't it, to start? Like, I loved questionnaires on my journey, because it helped me go inward to think, because sometimes we just don't know, you know, why this, that, and the next thing. But the assignments every day are designed to kind of just make you think, you know, not in an accusatory way or a blaming way, and just to kind of tune into yourself, you know, just to kind of just open up kind of like the possibilities of listening to yourself. And I remember you at the end of that, you know, and again, even with Embracing Emotions program, there was this really a relaxedness that you had with yourself, like your connection to yourself, kind of like it was setting the scene for the academy. And it was lovely to see you grow through all of that. But as I say, there's so many people that go and sadly live their lives and don't know how to take care of their whole selves, because, you know, you can't just deal with one element. You have to come back and look at the whole of you, you know, for true healing to happen physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You know, and how does that feel to have that power now?
It feels really good, actually. It feels strange, like, because it feels like I've had it for longer than I have. So it's kind of it feels strange looking back on where I was, even though that wasn't particularly long, but the development's been quite big in that time.
It's been huge. It's been a huge.
Yeah, I know. It's just like when I was thinking about it, I was like, actually, it's been bigger than big.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. So what does the future hold for you now?
Well, I'm kind of like thinking about like what I want to do with my future properly now, because I think before I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think about where I wanted to go, what I want to do and where I want to go, things like that. So I'm getting to think about that a bit more, and like that's the thing. So yeah.
But even your voice tone there, like, it's so confident. Like, you, like, before you were just surviving, you were just getting healed because of the pain, and the condition controlled you. But I think you can now recognize the condition showed up in your body to get your attention about, you know, what was lying subconsciously and what needed attention in your life. And now the world is your oyster, as you say.
Exactly. I think it's all like, it's down to you. It's unbelievable how many people you've like, whose lives you've changed, literally changed, and like dramatic. It's amazing. It's crazy. I can't believe it. Like, I just, from where like everyone started to where everyone finishes, it's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me, and it makes me feel emotional, because I remember what it was like being despairing, contemplating whether life was worth carrying on, you know. And so it's such a joy and a true honor to be part of your journey, to see you on at the very beginning of your new journey.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's crazy.
So what would
it feels crazy to be like here now, like saying that. Like I'm part of my new journey.
Because all you were doing before was just preparing yourself for the beginning. I think it's quite a poetic way of saying it, really, because invariably there's been aspects of ourselves we didn't know, or we just didn't know. We didn't have a clue because we weren't taught, you know, and it was no one's fault. But I think once you learn this, as you said a couple of times, nobody can take it away from you now. So it will serve you as you'll serve yourself, and then hopefully go on and serve others in your life.
Definitely. I think that all the members coming forth and like the previous ones, it's just such a vast knowledge, like the supplements, the power shakes, meditation. It just becomes like part of your everyday life, and you don't realize how much of an impact all these things together make. They do. They do. They like change your energy. They change your sleeping patterns. It's crazy. It's just,
I think it was the Queen Elizabeth who just passed, who said one of her speeches, she said, it's the little steps, not the gigantic ones, that help for the greatest success. And I think it's like little by little becomes a lot. It's so true, isn't it? Sometimes the little things, and you know, what you had was that determination and tenacity to keep going, because you know, that's what attracted you to me in the first place. And that's what's kept you going and getting you the results that you have. So what would you say to anyone who's listening to this, who's thinking, right, you know, what should my next step be? What would you say to them to sum up the Academy and the EndoBoss journey so far?
I would say like, the first thing you should do is like get Wendy's book, because it kind of like, it's a starting point then. And then I would like, then I think it's a good point to like look at her website and start like thinking of what courses you want to do, because it really does make an impact. I think for some people, the book might be, it could be enough, probably is enough for some people, but for a lot of people, they need more support. And it's so much more than just supplements and what you should be eating or shouldn't be eating. It's so much more than that, and the amount you learn and learn of yourself as well, it's just life-changing. It changes. It's not just about your it becomes way more than just your condition that you just so happen to have. It becomes like, where do you see yourself, like how do you like it makes you more aware of like your emotions. It makes you more aware of like things that you didn't even know that affected this condition.
Yeah.
And it just gives you like a future that you didn't really think you had before.
Yeah. And that's very poignant what you said there. I think I'd always seen in you the potential in you, and I still do, and I can't wait to hear and hope you're going to keep in touch with us of where you go and what you do, because I can see the absolute potential in yours. Before, endometriosis was just like a big sort of fire alarm going off saying pay attention, but nobody taught you how to pay attention in a way that was supportive and nurturing and caring. And this even helped some of your family members too, I believe, this course.
Yeah, I think my mom has the power shakes every now and then, and like just a little bit, like we'll go over like things I've learned, and then we'll just like help everyone else. It's just so like beneficial to like so many people. So it's amazing.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. What would be your parting words to the endo women that are out there right now listening to this?
I think like don't be afraid. You always said, and the words that like stuck with me, that no one like chose to be in pain. Yeah. I think like if you're like in bed or having to hold a heat pack with you, you don't want to live like that. No one chose to live like that. And I think like you don't deserve to be like that either. Yeah. So do this for yourself, and like maybe like buy the book. It changes lives.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know you were nervous about coming on here. You've been amazing. That's been over an hour. We've chatted. You see how easy that was?
Yeah.
How easy that was. And we're gonna chat a bit in a minute, but I just want to thank you so much. You've been an amazing student. I remember you from the very first call. You've just been diligent, committed, you stuck with it. And of course, there's been wobbly times. Of course, there's been, questioning times and like, can I do this? Will this work? But look, you are the beautiful example of what is possible with the right information, education, and expert support. So congratulations on being an EndoBoss, and your medal will be coming out to you soon.
Thank you.
So how do you feel about getting your EndoBoss medal?
I feel a bit overwhelmed, actually.
Yeah.
It feels amazing. I think I was like picturing it in my head, or like when it was like when it was becoming hard and stuff, and like and I was like thinking about like, because sometimes thinking about being pain-free is quite like it's quite hard to do. So it's kind of like sometimes I was like picturing the medal, like because like that was sometimes easier. But now it's like close to that, and it just feels quite overwhelming.
Well, I hope that when you get it, you get a photograph and you send it to us so that we can share your success journey on our website as well. But in the meantime, Angharad, thank you so much for coming on. It means so much to so many people, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K Laidlaw, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one. The world needs a healthy you.